What is going on, everybody? I don't know if people can hear me because I'm still hearing music. Are we hearing music still?
I'm hearing music.
There it was.
Not
Wait,
anymore.
music's gone. That's exciting.
Not
I don't know what the heck that was. We just had all kinds of music. Even the fake band, even our fake orchestra in the background here on the OBR was excited because it is Browns game day here for week 3. It's Browns, it's Giants, Huntington Bank Field, down on the shores of Lake Erie. And the Browns look to really change the way things were the last time they played at home, where the Boo Birds rained down. We were all questioning the way the Browns season was going to play out. Our whole lives flashed before our eyes. And the Browns have a chance after a win last week against the Jaguars on the road to come back home again in front of a raucous crowd and to get the vibes right again. And we are here on the OBR pregame show to get you ready for that. I'm your host, Michael Keefe. Look at the guys around me. We got Brad Ward. We got Casey Kinnaman. We got Jacob Roach. And we also got, just for the first few minutes of the show, so we're just going to jump right in. We got the legend, the man who's been covering the Browns. Well, we don't even want to tell you how long it's been because he's not that old. He's not an old guy. It's not been that long, but it's also been a long time. It's Fred Greetham. Fred, you're down at the stadium, man. How are things feeling down there? What are the vibes in the locker room? And what's everybody saying about today's game?
I think there's a lot of positive, upbeat, trajectory, getting the win last week, regardless of how it was said and done. I think they feel this is a chance to kind of take another step, especially in offense, and build, back in front of the home crowd. Left a bad taste, not only in the fans, but in the players, the way they played in the opener against the Cowboys. They feel that home field is an advantage, and I think you're going to see the defense really want to step it up today and to take care of business. I think this is a game that they should win. I think they feel they should win, but they know that, a dangerous team that's winless in the NFL. And so, yeah, I think all things, this is a chance for the Browns to get right. It's a chance for Deshaun Watson to take another step. It's a chance for Amari Cooper to get on track. I think you'll see them go after him early, try to get him going. And Jedrick Wills is going to start a left tackle. Who would have thunk it? We were expecting Jack Conklin, then he pulls a hamstring Friday. And I have to say this. What tackle do you know that's going to pull a hamstring? They don't run fast enough to do that. And usually they're only running 10, 15 yards. But anyway, no joke aside, Jedrick Wills, a guy that a lot of fans like to beat down, but now they're excited to see him back on the field, see what he can do. So a lot of positive thoughts, I think, down here. Jim Donovan, Phil Dawson going to get inducted in the Legends Club today. So a lot of good things. There's an alumni football game at halftime, I think, with Josh Cribbs and Joe Hayden being the captain. So we're excited to see what's going to happen today.
Guys, Brad, Jacob, Casey, if you guys have anything you want to talk about with Fred, anything on your mind about what's going down at the stadium. Fred, I will say, you brought up the legends. Obviously, Jimmy Donovan. I don't know if you guys saw. I mean, I'm sure everybody saw the video of Phil Dawson calling Jimmy Donovan to let him know that he's going to be inducted into the Legends Club. Fred, you've been around for a while. You've gotten to know these guys. Obviously, you've gotten to know Jimmy a little bit. Just talk about the emotions behind that and kind of how everybody's feeling about inducting those two guys today and how it's going to change the atmosphere of the stadium and make it kind of special down there.
Yeah, I think it'll be a big tribute to him. To be honest, I'm not sure he's even going to be here. Talked to somebody that didn't think he was going to make it. But I'm sure they'll have a big, his calls and so forth on the big screen. It'll be a lot of emotion here. He was just added this week, and I think it's well-deserved. He's been through a lot of bad football, and I've been around him being the stat guy for him, and great guy, wish the best. And so it'll be a big day all the way around, with the emotions. And Phil Dawson, he's the epitome of the Cleveland Browns, returning since '99, one of the few bright spots.
You were the stat guy for him?
Yes. I was the WTAM, always backed up Dick Goddard, the longtime weatherman. Ironically, Goddard would call me on any bad weather day and didn't want to drive up from Medina, so I did it. But then when Goddard retired, I was named the statistician. And then, as you all know, they switched from WTAM over to the sports talk stations, and so they got somebody else. But I'm the backup guy still. But I did a lot of games for Donovan over the years, and enjoyed that a lot.
That's awesome.
I can hear Goddard making that phone call to Fred. There's too many woolly bears on my car. I can't make it up there. All right, Fred, we had a question because I know you only have a couple minutes with us. We got a question in the comments before we let you get back to getting ready for this game and get ready to cover the game for us, doing the amazing job you do down there at the stadium for us here on the OBR. Ty Sox wants to know, who's your pick to click before you leave? Who's the pick?
Yeah, if I can remember in our round table, I think I have the Browns 27-16. I don't think it'll be that close. I think the Giants will score maybe a late garbage touchdown, but I do think the Browns defense is going to clamp down today. I think the offense is going to get on track. And I will say this, if you remember last year, Deshaun Watson had his coming out party in that third game against the Titans. We found out after he was injured, and that kind of set off a chain of events. But I do think this is a game for the offense to get right. I think the defense will do their thing.
All right. Awesome, Fred. Well, we appreciate you jumping on with us just for a few minutes. We'll let you go get ready to cover the game. Go do all your pregame stuff. But we appreciate everything you do. We appreciate you jumping on with us, and we'll talk to you later, okay?
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Fred Greetham jumping on for a couple minutes. All right, boys. Listen, it was a whirlwind of the morning, a whirlwind of the afternoon, but I managed to go grab myself a Cole 73 here from Great Lakes Brewing. No free ads, but a Cole 73. And I'm ready to go, boys. I'm ready to go. That game last week got me amped up, got me ready to go. How are we all feeling today? We'll just send it around. We'll send it around just how we woke up feeling. I know we did our roundtable. That got published. If you didn't check it out, go check it out. But Casey, lead us off, man. How'd you wake up feeling this morning?
I feel good, man. When I was breaking down this Giants roster, it's basically like Kirkland brand Jacksonville. They have a lot of the same elements, just not as talented. You know what I mean? Like you got two good edge rushers. They do have Dexter Lawrence that could be a difference maker. But when I look at what this Browns defense should do to this Giants offense, Fred touched it. I mean, I think this should be a dog walk, and I can see this playing out. I could see this being Daniel Jones' last start. I could see him getting pulled in the third for Drew Lock. And then maybe that's when that garbage touchdown comes, So I'm excited for what this defense could do here today. They had bad taste in their mouth from the first home game. Time to wash it out right now with the Giants.
Jacob Roach. Oh, you're muted. I don't know why you're muted, but you are muted. Nope, I can't hear you. It's all right. You figure it out. Brad, go ahead. Tell us how you're feeling.
I'm feeling great, man. This should be a win. I picked 24-6, I think, is my outcome. Now, at the same time, every game in the NFL, these teams all have talent. This team has some talent. Malik Neighbors, they've got a nice front. So the games that you're supposed to win are the most scary, although I do think this one, the Browns, just because they played so, and I think maybe Casey, you said this, they played so poorly at home the first time. I think that, coming back at home and putting on a good show today should be top of priority. It's hard this would be kind of a trap game if they were 2-0, but because they lost that first one, I feel like they should be attentive and ready to go today against a team that you really is on the brink. You really want to push them, they're right on the edge. You just want to kind of push them right over that edge there.
Yeah. Hey, before I get to you, Jacob, because I'm hoping we get the sultry sounds and some roachisms, I do want to shout out Philly in the comments. Again, you can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Twitch. You can watch us on X and Facebook. But how about Philly over here feeling so confident in today's game that he's out here gifting subs. So if you just got a gifted sub from Philly, give him a shout out. Say thanks to Philly. But we appreciate you, man. We love you for keeping people locked in here on the OBR. All right, Jacob, let's hear those. Let's hear your confidence.
Yeah, I do this on my own show all the time, and I just didn't think to change my mic over to do it on this one. And it's like, oh, that's great. I did 3 bold predictions for the OBR published this morning. I feel really, really good about the first one, which is 2 strip sacks, some fumbles forced of Daniel Jones, who's fumbled like 48 times in 62 games or some really crazy number. He's completing 54% of his passes through the first 2 games, including the first game he was at like 52% against the Vikings, who have a pretty good pass rush. And so like kind of comparable to what the Browns could do. I said they'll win by 17 points. That may be like 20-3. It doesn't necessarily mean it's an offensive explosion. I just don't see the Giants, outside of big plays, sustaining enough drives to get more than 10 points against this defense.
Love it. I love the confidence. I love the confidence we're all waking up with. So,
Yeah.
obviously, I think the big news of the day, the thing that we've been watching to start pretty much every week has been when that inactive list comes out. And even though there was practice, full-on practices all week, Jack Conklin back on that inactive list. Again, we found that out yesterday, but officially back on that inactive list. The person not on the inactive list is the guy that was supposed to be the starting left tackle to start this year, and that's Jed Wills. Jed Wills finally back again. I don't know that we ever got complete clarity on what's kept him out for as long as he's been out and not ready to go, but he is ready today. And so Jed Wills gets inserted into the starting lineup. And Jed Wills maybe, let's take the quarterback out of the picture for what I'm about to say, or else I'm going to sound really stupid.
Okay.
Let's take the quarterback out of the mix. Outside of quarterback, Jed Wills might be the most polarizing figure for Cleveland Browns fans on this team. Obviously a high draft pick, a top 10 guy, a guy they were really anticipating being a building block of that offensive line, and maybe hasn't lived up to that level. But I don't know, because of that, if he gets a fair shake as to what he's actually done in the league. He'll be back out there. It will not be James Hudson starting. So, boys, when you see Jed Wills out there, DeJuan Jones going to be starting at right tackle, just your thoughts on getting Jed back out there for this season.
You got to feel better, right? Like you've got to, like, I know, Casey, we've had this conversation off air too, that you're kind of reserving judgment until you actually see him out there and that sort of thing, which I totally respect. But I just think his floor is higher. Like, I don't know that he's going to overall be better than Hudson. We'll see how well he moves. And Hudson's a good run blocker, but I feel a lot better about the pass protection with Jed out there. I feel a lot better about helping Deshaun Watson settle in and be comfortable. I think Jed has been average with spikes above and spikes below, but everybody acts like he's just complete garbage, and I just don't think that's fair to him. But as long as he can go out and be what he normally is, be kind of a league average tackle, that's a significant upgrade.
Yeah, this offensive line, my concern is that this offensive line now, it's been a while and we've been waiting for him. So let's throw that caveat out there. But this offensive line, starting a few years ago, has a culture of playing with injury, right? And many of them have over the years. So I wonder what percentage of Jed Wills we're getting today. I guess that's my kind of question. Are we getting 100% Jed Wills? Are we getting 75? Because I mean, pass protection, I'd probably take 75 Jed Wills over what Hudson can do in pass pro. So I don't know. He was asked earlier this week about playing, and he was really hemming and hawing, acting like he was, like he worked in the mailroom somewhere or something. I don't know. Maybe this week, maybe next week. But yeah, so I don't know what to expect from Jed. I really don't. It's a big question mark. Well, I'll be anxious to see, and I wonder if with him and hawing and like that, and not even playing as many full participant practices as Conklin has to this point, are we looking at like a part-time duty today? I don't know. Like him some of the time, Hudson some of the time. I don't know. We'll see.
Everything Brad just said is the reason I'm reserving my judgment till I see this on the field and see what it looks like and see if he even makes it through the entire game.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're going to get out of him. And he's going to be facing off against Brian Burns, who up until the Friday's practice, was thought to be good to go. He was questionable. Rumors are he's going to give it a go. So, I don't know. I don't know what to expect, and it's not Jed's fault that he was drafted where he was drafted, but it is how he's going to be viewed. That's the lens he's going to be viewed as a top 10 pick, so people expect a lot out of him, and he's in a contract year. For his sake, he better ball out. This is the beginning of that stretch, so maybe they just ease him in. Maybe you do see a little bit of part-time work. It's kind of unknown what to expect, but I'm going to remain skeptical that he's all the way back until I see it on the field, and he's going to get to prove himself right away. You got Brian Burns this week, you got Max Crosby next week. There's still pass rushers on the horizon, so he better be up to snuff or it'll get exposed pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's a tough ask. It's a tough ask for a guy. And again, the expectation is you step up and do what you need to do. But not only are you a top draft pick, but the one position here in Cleveland, the one since we've been back in '99, the one position that's been rock solid for so much of that stretch because he's an all-time great, held down by Joe Thomas as left tackle. You're the guy that was the top pick after Joe Thomas retired to kind of take that torch. And so there's a lot of expectations there, but Jacob, in my opinion, man, I think what you said is right. He's not terrible. He's been a league average guy. And Casey, you can't argue with wait until we see it to pass judgment, but we're on a show here, man. We got to pass a little judgment early. And I'm excited to have Jed Wills back out there showing we can do. And I also, the trickle down effect for me, guys, Kevin Stefanski trying to get this running game going has been using those heavy packages, throwing extra offensive linemen in there. I think James Hudson's really good when he's used as that extra lineman because you're usually using that, Jacob, as you alluded to, in run blocking fits. And as opposed to, no offense, but Nick Harris, as opposed to Nick Harris being in there and then going in motion and tripping over his own feet and falling down on his face. Okay. James, I love when they do the James Hudson in motion and then he gets a crack at somebody.
Just destroys dudes.
He seems to thrive in that. So I'm kind of excited for that to come back as well. I don't know if anybody has any takes on that. I didn't really ask a question there. That was terrible hosting on my part.
No, you're good.
I was wondering if somebody was just going to jump on that. And then you guys all looked at me. So it must have been the best point I've ever made.
Yeah. Never hands down.
Fire. Straight fire.
So let's talk about these two teams and let's continue on the offense and let's start with this offense of the Cleveland Browns that, I think is we got over week one and we looked at what they did in week two against Jacksonville. I think a lot of us looked at that game and thought, man, they're playing much, much, much better. Again, Jacksonville, not nearly as good of a defense as Dallas. But Deshaun Watson looked more comfortable. And really, he looked comfortable until, and I think the whole Browns offense looked comfortable until they started shooting themselves in the foot. Yep. And so this game, guys, the theme of this game has to be, with all the other stuff we've talked about, it has to be cleaning up the stupid stuff, the stupid penalties. You're not going to play a penalty-free game, but we can't be trotting out procedural penalties. We have to know how to line up. We have to know when to go in motion. If we're going to run as much motion as we do, these guys got to know what's going on. So that's got to be the big concern and the big focus of today's game, right?
Yeah, it absolutely has to be. You touched on it. The effort penalties, they're going to happen. You're going to have to hold on for dear life against Dexter Lawrence. Probably going to draw a hold every now and again. But the pre-snap stuff, you got 14 already on the season. That's the next closest team has 9. That is not a place you cannot afford 1st and 15. You know what I mean? And so the effort stuff, you can clean that up with technique, but the procedural stuff, that's all mental. You have to knock those out of the way because even though you're more talented than the New York Giants, you're not so much more talented that you can just afford to repeatedly shoot yourself in the foot. And that's how you will let the Giants in this game. So you have to clean that up, and that had to be the priority. And coming off the first week, I didn't not saying you saw that in the second week, it was kind of worse pre-snap wise. So they got to clean that up. And obviously it's not going to be flawless, but they got to have a much better effort mentally today.
Yeah, for sure. You had that game completely won after Foreman gets that. I think he was close to 1st and goal. He was around the 10, wherever it was that he goes down. That game's over. If you get it in the end zone there, And all of a sudden you had to punt. And I know there was a great result, a great punt and a great safety, but I would rather have 7 points and more time off the clock. Because even if they kicked the field goal, they would have ran at least 2 or 3 more plays and gotten more time off the clock before they ever gave the ball back in that situation. But, or am I mixing that up? No, I'm right. I think. Whatever. But you get it. Like, you went from potentially getting a late touchdown to punting on that drive. You were down to the 10-yard line, and then it was 3rd and 36. It's like, that's just embarrassing. Like, there's no other way to spin it. Like, you can't even try to be like, the refs were just hating. No, they were all penalties. They were all legitimate calls. And like, it's just, I'm with you, Casey. It's the pre-snap stuff. They're trying to increase motion, yet they can't do it properly this past week. So like, you got to make sure those, especially those illegal shifts, because you're doing one thing well, adding that motion. You're helping Deshaun Watson. You're creating some confusion to the defense. You're really helping this offense be more complex and giving them the opportunities to get more easy answers by identifying what they're seeing. And instead you're back 5 yards. Like, it's just, you can't take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. You got to figure it out.
Yeah, it's the shift stuff that's driving me crazy, right? Been writing about the motion and wanting to see it increased a lot last week, but it's still holding them back that they can't get the shift stuff down. And twice it was, if you go to the OBR, Sam Penix did a real good film room on this. But he, the guy, if you shift 2 players, they have to come to a stop for a full second before you send another player in motion. And a lot of times you've got Watson waving a wide receiver over. He's not paying attention. You know what I mean? So the play has to be in on time with enough time left in the play clock to get the guy set and run the motion without, rushing that set for a second and go. They got flagged on that twice. And then they started to finally incorporate some of the orbit motion, which I like.
Yes.
And Elijah Moore, somebody got called for going forwards on it. The key, you can do the orbit motion, but you have to be going laterally when the ball is snapped. So there's a couple little things there that they should be able, those are easily fixable things, right? Get the play in, make sure a guy's set. These are things that should be easily fixable this week. And those are the ones that I would like to see go away. The false starts as well, all that stuff. I did just want to kind of correct that the chat was talking about this, and I just wanted to say, so I typed it in there, but then I had misread the original thing. So roster-wise today, I guess Blake Whitebeard or Whiteheart, as I like to call him, Whitebeard, is actually on the 53-man roster now.
Yeah,
and
and then Swain
and then they've elevated cornerback Tony Brown and Jeff Swaim to play today. So correction to the chat, just wanted to clarify that. So they actually will have 3 tight ends active today, right? Or were any of those on the inactive list? I don't think so.
No. David was the one that was on the Njoku was the only one.
So 3 tight ends with Akins and those 2 guys. So more than we expected. So
Brad, you gave us a good look at some rules there. I know the one play Elijah Moore got flagged for the illegal shift because the other guys never got set before he went in motion, not on a shift, just out of the huddle. They just never got set and he went in motion. Can't do that. Everybody's got to be set first. The other rule from last week, not that this affects anything for this week, but people need to know this. And I don't think Doug Peterson knew this. And I was shocked that this didn't happen. You can onside a free kick after a safety. You can't do it from a tee. It's got to be like a drop kick. I have no idea why.
How do you go about doing that?
You have to declare it. But a free kick after a safety is a free kick the same as a kickoff. So the kicking team can recover a free kick after a safety without it being touched by the original team. So you'd have to line up. You'd have to declare the safety with the new kickoff rule, or you'd have to declare the onside. And then the punter, you have to punt it. You can't use a tee. but the
Mhm.
punter would have to drop kick the ball just kind of into the ground, and you can still do a safety. I have no idea. I was watching that and I was like, apparently they don't know this. But I think it was like 2015 or something. The Steelers did it to somebody and they recovered it. So wild rule that people don't know, but you can definitely recover a safety punt. Anyways, elsewhere, though, offensively, guys, they really did seem to have the focus on getting the run game going last week against Jacksonville. This is a New York Giants team that has got pretty good players on that defensive line, as you guys have mentioned. As we talk about it, they're a pretty good pass rush team, but they are the worst in the league at stopping the run. They are terrible at it. The teams they have played so far, just for example, Washington last week, just able to absolutely run the ball down their throats. Washington, again, making use of a mobile quarterback to keep the Giants off balance a little bit. The Browns can do a lot of the same stuff with a mobile quarterback and with some decent running game like we saw last week. So, boys, how do the Browns attack the New York Giants today as far as just getting the run game going?
Well, I mean, you got 211 yards total as a team from Washington last week. But the thing that but only 44 of those were Jaden Daniels. So it wasn't just the quarterback crushing them on like designed runs or scrambles or things like that. Brian Robinson had 133 yards on 17 carries for the Commanders, and he has a very similar running style to Dante Foreman. So that's a power back up the middle, can make you miss if he needs to, but is going to run you flat over kind of guy. That's where I'm starting. I'm starting this game trying to establish the same way that they did last week. And hopefully that, he doesn't get like 30 rushing yards called back on penalties, some of which was his fault. But either way, we saw that blueprint last week that you can run all over this. Their backs, their secondary's young. They've got one good linebacker. Like, you can power run on this team. So I think you give it to Foreman early and often.
That's it. Establish your dominance, physically come downhill at them and wear them down that way. And then you get forward on the lateral stuff, and they let him hit the corner. I think they found a really good groove of how to implement their backs. That thunder and lightning approach with those two. I know Brightwell was called up. We'll see if he plays any role in this whatsoever. But I like the way they implemented their backs last week. I want to see more of it. Be physical with Foreman, and then try to be a little more dynamic with Ford.
Yeah, Giants giving up the second most explosive runs, seventh highest EPA per rush. Third, the Browns are actually sixth in EPA per rush through 2 weeks. So small sample size there, but absolutely have to take advantage of the run today. A good mix of Foreman and Ford is ideal. I like what you guys say. I'd like to see actually, this is on the same topic, but a little bit different. I'd like to see Ford used in the pass game a little bit more. I've seen, there's been such a lack of screens from this team through 2 weeks, and that's something that Stefanski really dials up well usually. So I would look for that today, maybe a little bit too, or start to incorporate that in the offense a little bit. But I mean, you win this game on the ground, play action into some downfield stuff. I think today's game plan may look a lot like a Stefanski offense more than a Dorsey, just FYI, in my opinion.
Hey, I want to go back to that for a minute, but I got real excited because I found the video of the safety punt onside kick that I was talking about. It wasn't actually an onside kick, but it was the Browns that did it to the Steelers in the Hugh Jackson era. The Browns got safetied, as they would do in that era, and so the Steelers got 2 points, and the Browns punted it away. They didn't do it onside, but you can. The Steelers just let the ball bounce, and it went down to the 20-yard line, and the Browns just recovered it like they would a punt normally, but it's a live ball on a free kick. Once it crosses over that 10-yard plane, it's a live ball. So the Browns actually were the ones that did it and recovered it. So there's video of that on YouTube. I just found it, and it's real exciting. It's the best thing that happened in the Hugh Jackson era.
The best thing.
I do like how they swapped out the way they did the run game last week. I like how you let Dante Foreman be your workhorse guy between the tackles. Not that I don't think Jerome Ford is capable, but I just think that his niche and where he is best in the NFL at this point in his career is that guy that can just hit you on the outside, hit you when teams are kind of expecting, they don't know whether it's going to be pass or run. He can get to the outside. His numbers last week were great. he only touched the ball. I think he ran the ball, 7 times for 64 yards or something like that. But it's because he is good in that situation. I like how they kind of made that move last week. I want him more involved, like you said, Brad, in the passing game. I want him more involved in other elements. But I loved how they turned to Deontay Foreman last week and said, all right, listen, you're going to be our guy up the middle. If you can get us forward, fall forward for 2, 3, 4 yards on a down where we just need to pick up positive yardage, that's great. And Jerome Ford can be that guy that can hit a home run or two on the side. It just seemed like a much better flow to the offense and to the run game when that was it. And it's what you want to see when they bring Nick Chubb back, hopefully soon. When they bring Nick Chubb back, you want to see him take that Foreman role and then be the explosive guy we know Nick Chubb is, and then you still have Jerome Ford in that area. So I really like the way they did that and how they made that realization last week.
Yeah, Ford's perfect as the change of pace guy. And I think that they wanted to fit him in to be the feature back. And we just saw it being consistent where he would hit a big run and then have 4 or 5 nothing burgers, and you're constantly playing from behind the sticks. Whereas Foreman gets north and south, will get you that 2, 3, 4 yards and get you in positive situations, and then allow Ford in. And hopefully they do get him in the passing game, something they went away from last week. And I don't know why they're holding back the screen game. Usually that's been a staple, but maybe they're just kind of waiting for the surprise element. They're going to break it out one week. And they may not view the Giants as the team they need to break it out against.
Well, you see
I have no idea what's going on there. That was my biggest gripe week 1. I was like, you couldn't find easy answers for Watson. Like, those are easy answers, confidence builders. And it also helps you slow down the pass rush by throwing behind those rushers. Like, first play, I would have thrown the ball to Njoku right behind Micah Parsons. Like, you know what you have at left tackle. Like, even in this game where I feel more confident with Jed Wills out there, slow down that pass rush. That is Brian Burns over there. That is Kayvon Thibodeau over there. And here comes Dexter Lawrence from the inside. Like, that's one of his best staples. I really have no answer as to why we haven't seen it more.
Yeah. Puzzling for sure.
Well, guys, let's continue to talk real quick about the offense, because, again, the strength of the Giants defense is that defensive line, and more specifically the pass rush. There's going to be a lot of people that struggle to name the players in the secondary for the New York Giants. It really at any of the second or third level of the defense for the New York Giants. And they're not great back there either. But I think their numbers probably look better because teams are just able to run the ball so effectively against them. But again, Deshaun Watson, let's talk about 4 for a minute. I think looked much more comfortable within the offense. I think looked better throwing the football against Jacksonville. Again, there was something about that Cowboys defense week 1 that they looked like they had 20 guys on the field at all times, and there just was never anything available. Looked much better, looked much more open against Jacksonville. The play calling looked better. So talk about 4 and what we expect out of him. Again, if they can get the run game going early, it should open up a lot of passing windows for him, whether it's in play action or not, against a really suspect New York Giants defensive backfield.
It came down to that first drive last week, right? I mean, and I know you're not always going to have a 16-play, 9-minute, 16-second drive your first time touching the ball, but it really established him getting in a rhythm, gave him early answers. He got confident, and things started to open up. So I think that's got to be the move, And Stefanski's always been good about scripting plays, So hopefully they can carry that over to this week, and we can see another really good effort on that first drive that hopefully results in 7, and you really kind of establish a rhythm and kind of get him in gear. Because if you look at this Giants secondary, there's some elements you like of talent, but they're just so young and inexperienced. You know what I mean? So you have to take advantage of that. And you don't want to get out of the running game. If you're having success running the game, by all means, keep that going. But when it's time, you got to throw the ball around the yard. And these cornerbacks can be exposed. They have a rookie safety in Tyler Nubin. He's talented, but he's a rookie. You know what I mean? You got to show him different looks, make them make some decisions back there. So I think this Giants defense is going to be there to be taken advantage of. And I'd like to see just another level out of 4 today. That's what just build, and because you got to keep this going. We have the thing I was most encouraged by is he had a decent game against Jacksonville, but he wasn't hurt. He finally gets to build on that, because every other time we'd see him take a step, it'd be a pause button from an injury, and then you're playing this herky jerky thing. Well, this is another game to stack on top of what he did last week, so it's all about growth right now.
Yeah, I think that you nailed it as far as coming out of the game. The scripted plays have to give him kind of his confidence. I would also say that You know, I would like to see Amari Cooper incorporated in that scripted plays. I mean, getting them on the same page has to be kind of one of your top priorities today, right? Like early going, even if it's just for a couple short ones, a slant or a wide receiver screen, just get him the ball in his hands, get him some touches and make him feel normal about things, right? And then but as far as what we expect from Watson, I would be fine with the same thing from last week. Just, you know, take what the defense gives you. If it's open, hit it. And, you know, we'll see what, you know, kind of attack the Giants are going to bring here today or what they have schemed up. But we've really yet to see them take a legitimate deep shot that's been in the field of play. Maybe one of those would be nice to see, a catchable ball down in the field. So, you know, although he did play much better last week, when the shots are there, the chances are there, and you're not throwing into double coverage, let's see if you can put one in play and give a guy a chance to make a play down the field. So those are a couple things I'm looking for. That would be progress in my book.
I just think continue to look comfortable in the offense, in the operation, running what's going on. I thought he looked a lot more comfortable last week in the pocket, in the confines of that offense. He just seemed to, the confidence and the comfort was there. I didn't see any of that week one, and that was my biggest concern coming out of that was he was dropping back, looking at somebody, dropping his eyes and panicking, and I didn't think we saw much of that last week. Casey, I think you hit the nail on the head. Build off of that. Do what you just did. Do that again. And then we can worry about 300-yard passing games. Like, continue to take a step forward. You don't have to take a giant leap. Don't try to play hero ball. That's not needed. Get more comfortable. Get confident. Get control. Take the reins of this offense. And you know, just take another step.
On the other side of things, guys, let's talk about this Browns defense against this New York Giants offense who, you know, I think we want to kind of smirk about the New York Giants offense because Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones. And outside of Malik Neighbors, it's a wild group of names that they're going to throw out there at wide receiver. Their offensive line, you know, it's really interesting. So I'm going to give a little shout out to my own show. I do the Doghouse on Tuesday nights, and I had the nephew of the legendary voice of the Browns, Nev Chandler, John Chandler, covers sports for New York, NBC New York, and he was on with us. And one of the things that I thought was interesting, one of the things that they're kind of touting in New York is how good their offensive line has been. They've allowed some of the fewest pressures through 2 games of any team in the league, and they're really, you know, kind of touting that offensive line. And he kind of slowed me down on that and said, no, our offensive line is good. like. Don't let the numbers, don't let the what's happened fool you. It's not been good. It hasn't looked good. It hasn't looked good all the way through. And so for us here in Cleveland, that's what we're always looking at is what kind of offensive line are these dogs for the Browns going up against these incredible defensive linemen that we have built our entire team around. What kind of line are they going up against? And it doesn't sound like there's a lot of reason to be confident for New York fans when it comes to their offensive line being able to block the Cleveland Browns defensive line.
Yeah, outside of their left tackle, Andrew Thomas, there's a lot of question marks along that line. I like their center, but he's a rookie, you know what I mean? And you're going to be facing Dalvin Tomlinson. The Browns definitely have the advantage of the line of scrimmage on both sides of the line of scrimmage, in my opinion. But it comes down to applying pressure. Now, Miles is coming into this off having 2 injured feet. I don't think that's been talked about enough.
2 feet.
Yeah, 2 feet. Both of his feet.
That's both of them. That's 100% of feet.
If it was 3, I'd be really worried. It's only 2 though, and it's Myles Garrett, so
should be fine.
Yes, but he'll see less double teams today because they'll trust Andrew Thomas. Now he'll probably still get 15% double teams, but it's up to him to take advantage of those one-on-one matchups when he does get them with Andrew Thomas. So that's what I'm going to be eyeing on. The rest of that line's super shaky. The rest of the Browns defensive line should eat today. And when it comes down to it, I'd make Daniel Jones beat you with his arm. Don't let him beat you with his legs. He can do that. Make him beat you with his arms. I'm not sure that he can.
He will give you an opportunity for a few takeaways.
Yes.
Which the Browns have 0 of so far on this season.
But they should have like 5 or 6 interceptions if they could catch the ball. Yeah, we just talked about this the other night. They got to come away with an interception today. He's going to throw one in the general direction of Emerson or Ward or somebody, and you've just got to catch it. They've had Ward could have 3 or 4 himself. He's had a couple in his hands in the first 2 weeks. I'll be interested to see if he's on any kind of a pitch count today again with that shoulder. But I would hope not. But yeah, because I think him and his ability to play Neighbors would be a real challenge for Neighbors. But now, probably the best challenge Neighbors has seen as far as somebody matching up with him. I think, Casey, you highlighted that the other night, that maybe kind of a welcome to the NFL moment a little bit with the way that this secondary plays. Neighbors is for real, though, and you can't let him get loose on you. I think the secondary will be fine. I think the pass rush will be fine. I'm excited to watch the defense play today just because, coming off of playing well on the road, the bad performance week 1, once again, this narrative, but coming back home crowd, they should be feeding off of that and looking to eat. Miles playing with no good feet. That should be interesting. Let's see if he floats to the quarterback.
I wouldn't put it past him. We don't put it past him.
So all that stuff though, this Delpit and JOK, the way they've been attacking the run has been fantastic. So I just look for all that stuff to continue, build on what you did last week. They could really be dominant today because once again, if you watched Daniel Jones' interview at all, he, my friends, is on the brink.
They are, by the way, live streaming Phil Dawson and Jim Donovan's induction ceremony on the Browns Twitter for anybody that wants to rewatch that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think it's guys on this side of the ball. 2 guys that I think are going to play a major role, and again, they should every week, and all these guys should play a major role every week, or maybe let's make it 3. But those guys you just kind of brought up, Brad, JOK and Jordan Hicks, and Grant Delpit in his role as well, because there's just that one area with Daniel Jones. There's that one area that does give you a little reason to go, okay, we just can't let him do this one thing. And the Browns can be a little bit susceptible to this. The Browns are so good at the pass rush, and they're so aggressive with their pass rush, which is why they're good most of the time. But Daniel Jones can escape, and Daniel Jones can run. And I think it's going to be real big. Again, I'm not saying that they're going to win the game on Daniel Jones just running the ball all over the place. But I do think for the momentum of the game and really for the confidence of the New York Giants, if they're looking at this pass rush going, hey, if you can squeak through, if Miles gets too far downfield or upfield, I should say, and you can bypass him and you got a lane go, well, if JOK is waiting there to drop him at the line of scrimmage, that's going to destroy a bit of the confidence for Daniel Jones if he can't use his legs. So I think those guys are really important to not let him get feeling like he can get out on the run against the Browns in this one today. And I think, again, they're the difference between the Browns winning in a game where you're like, oh, I don't want it to be this close, and just stepping on the throat of the Giants and just putting them out early and often and not letting them have anything. So I got my eye on those guys today.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brent. No,
I was just to say you have to you want to be aggressive, but you have to hem him in, right? You can't over pursue so much, and I know that's difficult for Jim Schwartz to do. But he will get loose too. And so those are the 2 guys that you really have to concern yourself with is Daniel Jones' legs and Malik Neighbors in the pass game. So outside of that, I'm not really worried about much of their offense. But, those are the 2 things you need to be concerned with.
Another thing I'm really interested in watching today is Devin Singletary, because he does come in leading the league in broken tackles. I just don't know if that's because he's just getting hit so early and so often that of course he's leading the league in broken tackles. But it does seem like he's having a pretty good start to his year. In fairness to Devin Singletary, seems like he's found somewhere that's working for him. So it'll be interesting to watch how they try to get him involved as well. Boys, let's real quick go to an area that we don't talk about enough, but an area that has looked really positive for the Cleveland Browns outside of one thing, and that's the guys with the legs that they use to kick balls. Dustin Hopkins, I don't want to jinx anything. I didn't want to talk about anything. And maybe it was dumb on my part, but coming off of an injury, coming back into a situation, I was a little nervous that we got a little fool's gold with Dustin Hopkins last year, and he wasn't going to look as good this year as he did last year. Well, I was wrong. He has looked phenomenal. He has been a weapon for the Cleveland Browns. And outside of one really bad punt by Corey Bojorquez that got returned for a touchdown in that Cowboys game, Corey Bojorquez has been a weapon for the Browns as well. Just talk about how important those guys are for this team as they look to continue to stack wins this season.
You can win games because of them.
Yeah.
That's That's what I have.
And when you can say that about those kickers and the punters, that's something by itself. But Bojorquez is a weapon with his defense, his ability to pin teams. He seems to give you one every game that's iffy. But when it comes down to it, man, he pins teams inside the 20, and with his defense giving them a long yard to march, it's very imperative. I will say this is kind of like a kicker's revenge game. We're facing Greg Joseph and the Scottish Hammer on the other side. So boy, they better ball out better than them today, or that'll be regretful, especially since Phil's getting his flowers today. So hopefully D-Hop can give you a nice 50-yarder, as he's hit 10 out of 10 so far since being a Cleveland Brown. That's huge. And just Bojorquez, if you can pin the Giants deep, get us another safety, that'd be much appreciated.
Today is not the day for Greg Joseph to start making field goals in Cleveland.
No.
Today is not the day.
Austin Seibert also was the one that beat them last week with 7 field goals, FYI. So things come really full circle there. But to your point, Mike, and I wrote about this too, in a league that is not scoring any points, and right now through 2 weeks, if you have a kicker the way that Hopkins is kicking, and a punter like Bojorquez, that's how you win a lot of close games in the NFL. So to your point, Jacob, you can win games because of those two players. And it absolutely is an important part of this team.
Hey, before we get to quick key to the game and quick prediction, before we let you guys go, grab your snacks, grab your beverages, and get ready for kickoff in just about 10 minutes down at Huntington Bank Field. I do want you all to remember that we work with Core Home Fitness here at the OBR, corehomefitness.com. Get over there, get them checked out, man. I got adjustable dumbbells on order, man. Those things are cool. They got the total body workout. They got the glute drive. They got everything to make getting fit, getting in shape, stop being a fat guy like me. I should probably stop drinking beers. But other than that, just try to get yourself in shape and do it in the comfort of your own home with top quality equipment that you won't even find at most gyms. You'll be better suited than most gyms if you work with Core Home Fitness to outfit your home gym. So get over to corehomefitness.com, get your stuff ordered, and make sure you check them out to get yourself in better shape than me. All right, boys. Let's go around the horn. Let's start with you, Jacob, and I want your biggest key to today's game and your score prediction.
It's limit the mistakes, limit the turnovers and the penalties. Like, you on paper, if you do your job, you'll win this football game. But if you go out there and you have 100 yards in penalties and a couple of turnovers, you won't. So just don't make the bonehead plays, play your game, and I think you'll be all right. And I'll take the Browns 28-13.
Pressure Daniel Jones, force him into mistakes, capitalize on those mistakes. Last weekend, I called a safety. They got it this weekend, calling for a defensive touchdown, 24-10 Browns.
Let's go.
Yeah, I took 24-6. Listen, I think, honestly, time of possession, control time of possession, keep the ball away, which means running the ball effectively. But more than anything, if they don't turn the ball over, play a clean game on the turnover side. I'm not expecting perfect on penalties. Better is fine. An improvement is fine there. But the turnover is what will kill you today, right? The great equalizer. So play a clean game that way, and I think should be fine. As long as you come away even in that category, you should be good to come out with a win today. These games, like I said, these games scare me a little bit. Just because, they haven't won yet. They've got nothing to lose here. So you got to take care of business today. because after this, you're on the road for 3 straight, and then you're into division play. So this is one you got to get if you're the Browns.
All right, I gave final score prediction of 31-16. For me, it's discipline, but it's not just the penalties, it's everything. If you just play discipline, you're going to beat the crap out of the New York Giants. That's how this game is going to go. It is the penalties. It's not all of them. I think you guys brought that up. For me, the offsides penalties for Myles Garrett are going to happen every game because he's trying to beat the snap count, and that's why he is as good as he is. So sometimes he's going to jump offsides. You live with those. You live with a defensive pass interference sometimes just because it's better to take the penalty than let the guy make the catch. Those things we can handle. It's that getting lined up, doing that stuff right. It's the discipline, like I talked about before, of not letting Daniel Jones beat you with his legs and keeping him in the pocket. But it's also the discipline of not focusing so much if you are a safety or a corner on what Daniel Jones is doing that you let your guy slip behind you and run for a long touchdown. So a disciplined game, a disciplined Cleveland Browns team wins this game. I picked them officially on our roundtable 31-16, but I also said in past years, so I'm going to go with my unofficial prediction. I've said in past weeks that until Deshaun Watson does it multiple weeks in a row, I'm not picking him. So 5-3 Giants is going to be my pick on this show. But I do think the Browns are going to win, but also 5-3 Giants until Deshaun does it multiple weeks in a row.
5-3.
Yeah, for sure. That is that's my unofficial pick until Deshaun shows us that he is consistent and can do it multiple weeks in a row. So, guys, go ahead, Brad.
I just want to say that, when the Giants are in cover 2 today, we want Deshaun turkey hole shots.
Yeah.
That you got to take advantage of it, right? Okay, it's open, it's there. You take the shot, you hit the turkey hole.
Cooper in the turkey hole.
Cooper in
down.
the turkey hole. Write it down, take a picture. We don't care.
Turkey holes for life. We're going to be talking about them forever. Hey, remember tonight, 7 o'clock, you can join us back here for the OBR post-game show as we will talk about the result of this Cleveland Browns New York Giants Week 3 matchup in Cleveland. But again, you guys get out of here. Go grab your snacks. Go grab your beverages. Get to your favorite spot to watch the game. And we appreciate you for joining us. For Brad Ward, for Casey Kinnaman, for Jacob Roach, for Fred Greetham that joined us early, and for the rest of the OBR crew, make sure you're following us everywhere with the OBR. And again, we'll see you tonight after the Browns game. Until then, cheers, everybody, and go Browns.